Welcome back to the shop. As you can see, we actually cleaned up around here. Had some friends over, and you friends know who you are because you're also subscribers. Good friends. Anyways, we got a plan for this little project. We're going to do some bracing. This is for the sheet metal to hang to. And we got a few other little projects at some point we're going to get to. I got a bike that needs cleaning up yet too. So I think we should get started on doing some more work. Perhaps you remember this little chunk of material from the sills we built in a couple previous videos. And what I've done is these are previous holes from before. I put these 4 holes in, kind of give you an idea of what we're building here. I've got to build a brace for between the roof and the sills. So what I've done is, because the door jambs are about 4 inches wide, just under 4 inches wide here, what's going to happen is we're going to circle cut here for a 6-inch rad, circle cut here for about a 2-inch rad. This section is going to be 1.5 inches wide to match that. This section here has got to be about 4 inches long. It's also on an angle because the door jamb's on an angle. So my plan is, once I cut these out, and I'll get them matched up, I think I'm even going to throw in a couple of lightning holes. Just because, well, why not? Yeah, and that's when I figure out where this is going to go. And that'll be the basis. I think what I'm going to create is what essentially is an I-beam. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some, probably some 18 gauge wider material and go all the way around in a strip and just stitch weld it. So hopefully I won't get too much warpage. Well, confession time. I was going to do this off camera. What had happened is this ended up being just over 4 inches, and I wanted about 3 5/8, 3 3/4. So I thought, you know what? I think you guys need to see this. Anyways, what I'm using is I'm going to take the part, I lay it over the other top part, basically use it as a template so I can plasma cut 3/16 of an inch off. I've already done this side. Now I'm going to use the one I just cut as the template for the other piece and go along there. And then I'm just going to blend the radiuses together. I'll tack it back together again, then blend the radii. It'll be wonderful when we're done. Oh, a little side note too. You notice how nice and smooth this cut is? It makes a world of difference if you got good tips. If I start getting, I gotta tell them, I'm telling you this so I remind myself. When I start getting lousy cuts, change my tips. Alrighty, a few things of real interest here. First of all, measure, 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 and assume nothing. Case in point, when I took a look at the inside of the jambs, nice straight lines, you can't assume that they're actually parallel. Okay? I measure across here, I got 57, and over here, we got about 55, 55 1/4. Not even close to parallel. Okay. Another little item. Okay. When I cut my plates and I cut this angle, I kind of eyeballed where it was supposed to go, but apparently I must have dropped my micrometer or something, because when I go and compare, and sight down the parallel points, which is here and here, I can tell you right now, it's off. This is why we use measuring tools. Now, my little trick is, I know the cab's not level and I don't care, it doesn't have to be. But what I do is I'll take a measurement on this side, I've already done this, take a measurement on here, take the other side, and split the difference. I think one side was 5.5 degrees, the other one was 7.5, so it's 6.5 degrees. So I get my handy dandy protractor, if I can figure out where I dropped it. I love that. I keep putting stuff down and I never seem to remember where I put it. Okay, I got her set for, what did I say? Yeah, 6.5 degrees. And sure enough, when I compare it, oh yeah, there's a gap there. When I set this parallel here, sure enough, there's a gap there. So it's telling me, yeah, I just got to cut this, I got to trim this off a little bit. It's not a big deal. The fun part's going to be when I put this together. What I'm going to do is, I got an aluminum plate, which I'm going to actually use as a fixture for clamping. So I'm going to clamp these parts, all the parts together, measure how much I need for this piece. You know, this one, that's going to fit like that, the same on the other side. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit short, so I'll probably have to cut a piece and weld it in. So another little fabrication tip. I got the piece laid back down again with the marks there. I also laid out, calculated where it was, and I laid out a center line, and I scribed it on here. There it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe a center line on the part. And the reason I do that is because I may need that for future reference once it's in the car. That way I actually have something to go by. This could be handy for when I have to figure out where the center of the backlight is, or anything else for that matter. And I'll make sure I do it on both sides. Make sure I'm lined up with these lines. Yeah, that's good. And normally what you do is you don't just leave a line because the line can get scratched off. Is we also put in a couple of center punch marks. Because those will probably stay if the line disappears. And there we go. Oh, smoky. So our next bit of fun, we're going to make two pieces into one. We just put a weld on here. And the trick is I want to make sure that it does stay straight. I've got my line scored here. So we're going to line up this line with this line. But before I do that, I want to put some layout lines on here. In the center, I want them just over 1/8 of an inch apart. So when I put this on, it'll be in the center, and more importantly, I want it parallel. And then we're going to start stitching it. You know, if I was one of those rich guys, I'd probably had a nice big fabrication table for doing all this stuff on instead of just the floor. But we use what we got. I think the smart thing to do is put the gloves on before I get splatter on. Fortunately, I remember this time, and no splatter on hands this time. That little bit of welding gave me a gap about 3/16 of an inch. Now, if it was worked the other way, it wouldn't be a problem. But because it's kind of the opposite of what I want, I have to rethink how I'm going to do this. So yeah, that was either that or, nope, it's definitely, you can see it really good this way. But you see the gap in here, right? That's from those few little tacks. So, change of plan. All right, for those of you who have been on watching the channel for a little while now, you're probably familiar with this little unit. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, there's some videos on what we can do with this thing. It's pretty much a press that allows you to bend stuff. And a little while ago, my brother, he wanted to build a Model A windshield, and we needed to bend some flat bar the hard way. So he was kind enough to make up some dies. And that's what we're going to do to fix this little unit. Well, as you can imagine, we got a little bit of warpage. That's what happens when you put a little bit of weld on one side. How bad is it? Not horrible. About 1/8 of an inch, and the worst point is actually not in the center, it's about here. But fortunately, as you can see, we've got a tool that can fix that. Well, that was a fun job. But now we've got some major structure and it is plenty strong. That's what I wanted. Anyways, job done. Well, one little job done. Thank you again for watching, for subscribing. Bye for now.